right, welcome everyone. For those who are not affiliated with our group, Greater Cleveland Junior Golf, welcome for the first time to the Greater Cleveland Junior Golf Scholarship Fund family. My name is Jamie Taylor. I am the executive director, and I have with me our program director, who I'm going to introduce herself, as well as several presenters who are going to talk this evening. So just thank you again. We're going to quickly just tell you about the program and who we are, where we are, what we do, and then we'll go straight into the program. So with that, I'll pass it on to Emily.
Hello, everyone. I'm Emily Jones. I serve as program director for GCJGSF. And actually, I'm an alum as well, graduated in 2020. Now I'm a junior at University of Dayton. My connection with the program still, it started off as me just being a volunteer the summers after I graduated out. And then last year, I became the program director. So that's kind of been my role. Now, for those who don't know who we are or what we do, we are an organization that was established in 1980, so we've been around for quite a while. And our program is designed to provide instruction of the game of golf, but also provide an introduction to children that are underrepresented in the game of golf. And we don't just focus on golf, though. We also develop and reward excellence, and whether that be academic or just goal making in general. And our main season is in the summer, so we meet every Saturday morning starting in June at Shawnee Hills Golf Course. That's our home base, and that's where the children receive lessons from PGA and LPGA professionals, and they get to go out on the course and actually execute what they're learning. And most recently, we've also implemented weekday play dates, which allows the kids to come out during the week and play with an experienced golfer who they can see and look up to as a mentor. So we also have started off-season events monthly, and that is what this is. So let's get started with this one.
Thanks, Emily. And I'll just briefly tell everybody, because I didn't say it, I'm an alumni. I graduated in 2002 from the program, had started the program at age 8. So I was there from pretty much the beginning. We do take kids as young as 6. I went on to play collegiate golf at Yale University, obviously played high school golf, and then became an LPGA professional. And so I give this organization a lot of credit for just creating who I am today in regards to exposing me to golf, exposed me to competitive golf, because I definitely started competing when I joined the program, and just being around a bunch of mentors who gave of themselves, including my own parents, to volunteer and show me that, this isn't just about playing, but about giving back and helping others. So because of that, I've always been involved, even during college, obviously now, and it's led to me being in the executive director role. So just wanted to share with you that, because I think people should know that golf programs like these are really important. And so if you're in another town or city, definitely reach out to your local program, because these do have more than just golf to offer. They often build character and lifelong relationships. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first 2 speakers of the evening. I'm excited. I don't feel like a mama bear because I'm not that old, but I do feel like a big sister to these 2 young ladies, because they both were in the program when I was involved as an instructor, and I've gotten to see them grow. In fact, one of them was in the program while I was a member in the program. That's how long she's been around. And it was just really awesome to see them grow and develop into who they are now. So I'll first start off with Angela Dodson. Angela is a current alumni. She just graduated in the spring, or actually, I guess you'd say the summer. And she went on to play collegiate golf at Savannah State University. And so she just finished, or I think she's finished her first semester of collegiate golf at Savannah State. And I believe she started the program at age 5, but I'm gonna let her give you her background. And so it's just great to have her. So, and then the second person is going to be Christina Nagy. Christina is a high school player. She joined the program, I believe, in middle school. And so she's been excelling very well in golf over the years. Oddly enough, I learned, and I don't know if Christina will even remember this, but apparently I was her first instructor. She started off in my little little birdie's class as a 5-year-old, or maybe even younger. At least this is what her mom told me. And then she goes, "Don't you remember Christina?" And I'm thinking to myself, 5-year-old Christina and 16-year-old Christina at the time, it does not look the same. So it's pretty cool to know that I got to be the first coach for her. And now I'll be honest to say, playing way better than me. So I'm excited to welcome these ladies and have them share with you their experience of going from learning the game to competing at a high level. And we'll kick it off with Angela, because she also played high school golf. And Angela, can you share with the audience kind of how you got into the game, who encouraged you to get into the game? Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Angela. My dad encouraged me to get in the game. He started me off with those plastic clubs in our backyard, and I joined the program when I was about 6 years old. Um, um, I started enjoying the game when I joined my high school team my sophomore year of high school, and I started enjoying that year. That's when I started wanting to compete more. I got better. I actually liked what I was doing because before I kind of was iffy about it. Um, my high school golf experience, it was interesting. I was new. As I said, I started my sophomore year, so everybody else on the team started their freshman year. It was fun though. I had friends on the team. Um, mm, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And she's not lying. To everybody who doesn't know Angela, she would come out every summer and she would not look like she was happy to be there for many, many years. But then all of a sudden, I leave and I find out she's playing high school golf, and I'm like, whoa. So, for those parents who always say, well, when is my kid going to enjoy this game? It does happen. It may take time, but Angela's a testament of that. So thanks, Angela. All right, Christina, can you share with the crowd your journey of when you started to, you don't have to go into your successes yet, but just how you kind of got into the golf and how you transitioned from start to now?
Yeah, I'm Christina. I started in the program when I was about, I think, 10 years old. I was in like 5th grade, but I really got started with the game when I was around the same age as Angela. I was like 5. My dad encouraged me to play because he was a high school golfer. And then I did start out with Jamie's little class when I had my plastic clubs too. I never really I enjoyed it, but it wasn't something that I was like super into until about middle school. And that was because of like the program and a middle school program I did. And it just like allowed me to see like the competitive side of myself, even like just knowing like how much I like to compete in something, which never really happened to me before. So
Nice. So Debbie asked you this. Did you remember taking my class as a little kid?
vaguely, just like a
Okay.
little.
I was gonna say it just seemed like a decade had passed, and then I was like, oh, this is the little girl that was at the the driving range with us. That's pretty cool though. And so my next question, and this is actually for both of you all, and I think Angela alluded to it, but what made you decide to go from, trying it out because you both started really young to being like, okay, I kind of like it, and I think I want to compete. Like what made you decide to play competitively, whether it be middle school, if you started there, or high school? Clarify that. What was it that made you decide to move in that direction? And I'll start with you, Angela.
Um, During practices, we would have many competitions with our mates, and it was fun seeing how competitive we could both be and be pretty good at this. And I'm
So you kind of broke up a little bit. You said you had many practices with who?
We had many practices with our other teammates, and it was really fun seeing how competitive each one of us could be.
Got it. So your school, just to be clear, already had a golf team when you got to high school, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So did you know kind of getting into high school that you were going to join the golf team, or was it something that you had to be kind of forced into?
I had to be persuaded into it. One of my close friends was on the golf team, so that's kind of how I got into it.
Got it. Okay. Nice. All right, Christina, what about you?
I guess you could say I started like competitively playing in like fifth grade just because we would play like little matches against other like middle school kids. But I didn't really like feel like I wanted to compete until my freshman year, which is when I joined the high school golf team. And I didn't have like some super impressive like year, but I just remember like the end of the season, I finished, I think, second team for like the league. And I was like, wow, like I could probably get first team. Like I kind of want to like do better next year. And then after that, it was just like every day, like for hours a day, just practice, 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 just because I wanted to get better that badly and I really enjoyed it. So
Got it. So you got bit by the bug. I know that feeling. Once you get a taste of success, it's hard to stop. And so with that, I'm going to follow up the next question, and that is, Angela, start with you. Can you share with the audience what was that high school experience like for you? Because you said you were persuaded initially, but kind of where did you go from being persuaded to, getting to your senior year and you're still playing golf?
Um, you broke up a little when you said that. Could you repeat?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll say that again. Apologies. Can you share with us what the high school golf experience was like?
Well, I remember my first year, which was my sophomore year on the team. It was kind of just playing around, seeing what happens. My junior year is when I actually started getting better and like actually wanting to improve a lot more. I remember my junior year season got cut short because of COVID, and I was really bummed out about that because I actually wanted to compete a lot more. My senior year was really successful. I shot my lowest scores throughout the 3 years, and I was really surprised and happy by that. It made me want it to continue.
Great. Christina, I'll ask you the same question. What was your high school experience like? I know you just wrapped it up, but share that with the audience.
so my freshman year, I was on varsity with only one other girl in my grade, like who was my age. So that was a little weird, but very like welcoming, even with the upperclassmen girls. And then my sophomore year, which was when I was like a lot more competitive, it was just like really fun to see myself improve. And I actually was like friends with my team, which that's like one of my favorite things about being on the team is I had like all my best friends with me, especially like the last 2-3 years. My junior year, I ended up being really successful. Actually, I broke one of the school records for the 9 holes, so that was fun. And then this year we actually made it to states, so that was definitely a lot of fun, a good way to end my high school career. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It feels like playing around with your friends at a point. Like it doesn't even feel stressful most of the time.
Well, that sounds pretty fun. And I think there's a common theme that we find now is that kids want to do what their friends do. Unfortunately, golf at the schools now, you can find friends who golf. I didn't have that option starting out, but I think it's more common now. So that's good to know. All right. So my next question is, when did you realize, and this is for you, Christina. So you went to states this year, for those who don't know. Christina, you may be the first of the Greater Cleveland Junior Golf Scholarship Fund family to have that victory in your. And so with that, can you share with the audience, what did it feel like to realize you were going to go to states, and what was that experience like?
Well, I didn't realize I was going to states until like 3 hours after I finished at our district tournament. So first it was nerve-wracking, just kind of sitting in the clubhouse, like head in my hands, just waiting to see if we were gonna make it. But like I remember just like sitting on the putting green with my team, like kind of watching people on different holes, and it was just like I didn't even realize it was real for a second, because like that was something we'd been like striving for all 4 years really. So I mean, it was definitely like a really incredible thing to be able to like experience, like just feeling like you really accomplished something.
And while you were there, going to states and actually playing, how was that any different than your typical experience, or was it different from districts?
I'd say it was a little different. I was definitely more nervous than usual, especially like that first day, even though there's a practice round, just because it feels like there's a lot more pressure. But I mean, it wasn't much different because I wasn't super worried about how I would score, since there wasn't really anything after that. It was just kind of like, okay, you made it, just have fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you had that experience. And then how did things turn out for you? Did you feel like it went as, I mean, obviously you may not have won, but did you feel like the experience was what you had hoped it to be?
Yeah, I didn't play how I wanted to really. Played okay, but I mean, I just went down there and I did what I was looking forward to the whole season. I just had a good time with my friends, good last year with my coach. So it was definitely a great experience.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations again. We are definitely proud of you. Now we get to put that on our website that we had a state qualifier in the Greater Cleveland Junior Golf Scholarship Fund. So that's pretty cool. This is for both of you, but I'm going to start with Angela. When did you realize or decide that you wanted to play golf at a collegiate level? I'm starting with you, Angela. I think you're on mute. There you go.
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. I would say my senior year of high school is when I decided I wanted to play at a higher level. I really wanted to see what that experience was like, how it differed from high school to college, if there would be any more challenges.
And was there any outside motivation to make you want to go that route? Because I mean, that's a pretty huge leap to want to go and play at during your college years.
Yes, so seeing people around me who have been through it and how successful they were and how much more advanced it is, it made me want to strive for that.
Nice. So when you made that, well, I'm gonna come back to you on that one. Christina, we just talked about this and I would love for you to share this with the audience, but please share what motivated you to want to play collegiate golf and kind of what your experience has been as currently, because you're in the process right now, you haven't decided, kind of when you transitioned from I want to play high school, now I think I'll play collegiate, and then now what's your experience like so far?
So I wasn't really sure if I wanted to play golf in college until I was like at states really. It was like the second day of states. I was kind of thinking about like, wow, like this could be my last time doing this. And I was like, I don't really want to be done with it. I mean, I had been like looking into colleges before that, but that's when I really like decided. So now I'm just figuring that out.
And so what has that process been like for you? Because the states just happened like what, not even a month ago?
Yeah.
So you just told me today you could share with the crowd, but what's it been like to, look for colleges and figure out the golf team and what they're, if you're going to be qualified, kind of what have you experienced so far?
So I've been looking into it a lot. I'm a specific person, so it's a little tougher for me, but just I had a few coaches contact me before, so that's nice. Just like doing my research and stuff and setting up phone calls. And then I have a visit later this month. So just in that stage right now.
Awesome. So the good thing is we have Angela who's been through this already. So Angela, can you share with the audience what your college search process was as far as playing? Like how did you know right out the gate you were going to go to Savannah State, or did you consider other options? What was the process?
So I didn't know right out the gate I was gonna go to Savannah State. I was looking into other schools and did visits with other schools. This one just it stood out to me the most, and I felt the most comfortable here. The college search.
We lost you for a second there. So you said, what was the college search like as far as the other schools? Because obviously you landed on Savannah, but what made you decide to pick that one over the others?
I picked this one over the others because when I met the coach, I really felt like it was the best connection. And I met some of the other teammates. They were nice. I've spoken to them before. Um, it just felt like I belonged here compared to other schools.
And when you did the college search, did you visit the other schools, or was it just a virtual thing? I mean, how did you even go about vetting those schools?
I visited about 3 schools, and then the other schools I just looked at online and saw their campus, looked at the map. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to visit all the schools that I was interested in, so I didn't have that much time.
Got it. Okay. So I'm hearing some things here. There's obviously personal preference. Coaches are huge, and I can say that from personal experience for those watching. The rapport between the player and the coach is a major thing. And for the coach, as we'll hear later on, is probably the rapport with the student and the parent, because the student could be awesome, but if the parents are a bit of a nuisance, some coaches may not decide to recruit your child. So we don't have their parents on the call, but I know that's a huge factor as well. And then the other thing is, I think I heard you mention the campus, whether you want a big space, a small campus, your major, right? If they have your major. And also the other players, the rapport with them, because those are the people you're going to spend a lot of time with on the road, as well as they may be your first college friends if you don't know anyone going to the college. So having a rapport with your teammates is huge. So I think those are some great things to point out when people are considering playing at that level. So I'm going to have a couple more questions. I'm going to go to audience questions. Outside of practicing with your team, what did you do to get ready? And I guess going back to high school, you came to our Saturday program. You obviously played during your golf seasons, but what did you have to do? And this is for both of you. I'll go to Christina first. What did you have to do to get to play at the level you're playing now? Like what's the amount of practice you had to do every week? What's the competitions that you had to do outside of regular, like kind of explain that to the audience.
I feel like for me, the biggest part like that really got me like to go to like the next level of like competitive golf was just everything like outside of like high school practice. So like I would in the summer put in like, I don't know, like 3 hours a day just into golf, just in the backyard, up at the driving range, on the course, whatever it may be. And then I played in a lot of summer tournaments. So like we have the Northern Ohio PGA. I played in quite a few of those. I started those when I was in 7th grade, I think. So those were definitely really helpful, just like getting a feel for what it's like to play like really competitive people and see like where you stand amongst them.
Awesome. Same question to you, Angela. What did you do to get yourself at a competitive level outside of the Saturday group sessions and playing with your team?
outside of the Saturday sessions and playing with my team, my dad and I would play a lot. We would always find us at Shawnee or Highland Golf Course, and we would do competitions with each other while we played. The Northern Ohio PGA tournaments, I was in a lot of those here.
Got it. And so when you say you and your dad played a lot, how many days would you say per week you played?
Probably like 4 days a week. I know in the summer we played like every day in the morning before he had to go to work.
Right. Awesome. So I'm guessing that was a 9-hole or you played 18?
Mostly it was 9 holes. During the weekends it would be 18, or if he didn't have to go to work until later, we would play 18.
Got it. Now, one thing I didn't hear either of you say, but I know you probably did you have some coaches that you would go to kind of tune up your game? And how often did you think you met with your coach on average?
I know I went to Tiana Jones at Topgolf. I would meet with her about 2 times a week. She was my swing coach and helped me really concentrate and tighten up my game.
Awesome. What about you, Christina? How often did you have a coach? And if so, how often did you meet with that coach on average?
My swing coach was just my high school coach, which he coached me since like 7th grade, so he really knew my swing. I would meet with him about once a week during the school year, like twice a week during the summer.
Okay, twice a week. That's quite a bit. All right. So just giving everybody perspective here because, and I don't know if we mentioned this, Christina, you said you broke a school record. So what were you shooting to break that school record?
So I broke the 9-hole match record. I shot 2 under par 33 for that.
Okay. So you're shooting under par. And that was what year you said? Sophomore year?
That was my junior year, so last year.
Junior year. So under par, and she's practicing almost every day, meeting with the coach twice a week. So just putting that in perspective for people so that you understand the level of dedication that Christina is making to shoot that score. Now, on the flip side, if you don't mind, Angela, I would love for you to share your score, average score, before you went to college, because I also want to make a point about what expectation colleges have. So on average, Angela, what was your average score for 18 before when you got your college acceptance?
My average score for 18 was the mid to low 80s.
Okay.
This was before college tournaments.
Got it. Okay. And have you found that college golf is a little bit harder? Because, and if so, why?
Yeah, college golf is harder. It's a lot longer, and the competition is definitely there. I played in my first tournament a couple of weeks ago, and you definitely see the difference. I also played with like juniors and seniors, so they've been doing it a lot longer than I have, so they're used to it.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to say, for those who don't know, and correct me, anybody who may know differently, I believe high school golf, you might be playing around 52, 5,300 forward tees. And college, I think the average for females is around 62, 6,000, 6,200. Am I kind of close on that, Angela? So that would
Yeah.
equate to like the middle tees sometimes for most of your rounds. So that's a
we
big,
play the whites.
right. So you play from the middle tees. So that's a big jump if you don't do that. And I will say, as someone who's done that also, I think I started playing from the middle tees, definitely the summer before, but probably even, during the program, I started playing with the boys from the middle tees because high school golf, you're not playing from those middle tees, but if you want to play collegiate golf, that's a requirement. to play that length. So that's a good thing to know. All right, I have a question from the audience, and if anybody has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box and we will read them to you. So Emily, can you read a question off from the audience?
Yes, I can. How was it for you two playing with the youth on Mondays and Tuesdays this summer? You're one of our mentor golfers.
For me, playing with the youth, it was really fun. It was nice to see children that actually like to play and they actually enjoy it. Because I know when I was younger, I was just doing it, but they actually really enjoyed it and they made me smile a lot.
Yeah, I agree with Angela. It was really nice to just play with kids having fun instead of having to compete. I mean, it was really, even for me, it was like relaxing, and it was just nice to like be able to help them because it was like, I don't know, it was just a cute thing to do. Like they're so excited about the game. It was just really a fun time.
And just to give perspective for the audience, we implemented weekday play dates this summer with our program on Mondays and Tuesdays. And so that was headed up by our Girls Golf Site Director, June Taylor. And she had the juniors, our alumni and current players come out to play with the kids, as well as some of our board members and parents to go out with kids who wanted to get more exposure to playing on the course. And so these two young ladies, raised their hand and faithfully volunteered week after week to help out. And so, that's, again, the important part of our program is giving back. And they already are starting to do that even as participants. So we are definitely grateful for that. I have one last question, unless anyone else has one in the chat, but I don't see anything. So I will start with you, Christina. Do you see golf as being a part of your life post-college? And if so, what do you think that might look like for you?
I definitely do, just because I enjoy it so much. And also I plan to major in like business, I think. And my dad always tells me all the time, like business and golf kind of go hand in hand. So like it's something good to have. And like when I just go to the golf course and I see like those like happy old ladies playing golf, it sounds funny, but like I just think like that's what I want to do. Like I want to be able to just have fun, like enjoy the game when I'm like old even.
I'm one of those happy old ladies now, Christina. So I just play for fun only. Go ahead, Angela, and then I have one more question I think I see in the chat. We can't hear you yet, Angela.
I agree with Christine.
He broke up a little bit.
Definitely see golf in my future past college.
We can hear you now.
Okay. I agree with Christina. I do see golf in my future past college. Definitely playing for fun with a few of my friends. I believe that you would see me when I'm really old, just an old lady walking on the golf course playing golf.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, you have a whole like work life in between, right? Where you can use golf. You guys don't have to wait to be old ladies. All right. So one more question. Go ahead. Read off the question, Emily, and then we'll wrap up this segment.
Why is it important to have your parents' support and encouragement? So, Angie, you can start. Oh, we have another question after that, but go ahead.
It's important to have your parents' support because they're always going to be there for you. Even when you're having a bad day and you don't think you're doing well, they're going to be there to support you and tell you that you can do it and just to keep going.
I agree with Angela. I mean, there were a lot of days where I was definitely a little upset with how I was playing, but my parents, especially my dad, he was always like, I mean, golf is like that. Like you just have to keep playing. And it was really nice to have someone there for me to be like, like you can do it and you just got to keep doing what you do best.
Thank you, guys. The next question said was a range as far as scores that colleges are looking for. So you guys can talk about your personal experience on have what coaches have told you based on your scores, anything like that. Christina, you want to start this time?
Yeah, I can start. So I was talking to going. Okay, never mind. I was talking to 2 D2 coaches, and my average for my senior year was about 80, I think, for 18. And that was about it would be bottom on the top 6, I think. So it was kind of maybe playing. And then for the D3 that I'm talking to right now, it's more top of the team. So it just kind of depends on what division you're looking at. So yeah.
Yeah, I just want to chime in. I think 80s, and again, if any other coaches know better on the call, I think 80s for the most part is a decent score to shoot between 80 and 90 for a majority of the colleges. Obviously, those top tier ones, you're going to be having to shoot around par. But to get a scholarship, if you can shoot mid 80s, low 80s, it's pretty much for sure, to get a scholarship of some kind. So, strive to shoot for that if that's what you're looking to do. All right. Well, I think we have I think that's all the questions for now. And so I want to thank you both, Christina Nagy and Angela Dodson, for being on this webinar. It's our first time doing this, and I think this is something that is thoroughly needed. I wish when I was in the program like you all, someone was there to kind of share this insight with me. But, it's just great to know that we have so many alumni now and future alumni that are going to be able to help mentor and share this with the youth that coming up. So thank you both. And we're going to move on to our next segment, which is with Rick Dowling. He is a representative of Junior Golf Hub, which is a cool app that I discovered. I was recently attending the African American Golf Expo in Charlotte, North Carolina, and there were many vendors, promoting their different products. But this one really resonated with me because as a director of a junior golf program, I thought, man, it'd be so cool for this app that he has to present to us, for our youth to have access to this and be able to, and parents mostly who don't know anything about golf, to be able to use this product to help their kid not only be found by coaches, but then also be able to figure out where they are in the search of colleges, And so I'm going to let Rick come on and talk more about this and share with you all the details. So Rick, come on up.
Thanks, Jamie. Can you hear me okay?
I do.
Okay, good. Thanks for having me. College golf can be a very cool stage in the journey for golfers if you're passionate about competition. So I'm happy to be on to share a little bit of my experience as a player, but not only as a player, but with my current work at Junior Golf Hub. So I'll try to, I put a little presentation together. Each time I click the share button, it says I can't join as a host. So maybe if you want to present it, or I can present it, it's up to you. Oh, I'm the host. Okay. Wow. Very important. Hope I don't mess anything up. Okay. Share screen.
That looks good. We see it.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I don't want to do that slideshow. Still see it?
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Really cool to hear some of the stories from the current players or high school players And a lot of what you'll hear later, it was cool to hear from them that they also are experiencing that or thinking that way. So I titled it How to Successfully Navigate the Journey to College Golf. It might be far out for some of the people listening, or it might be very real right now. So hopefully this is some good, foundation level knowledge and advice for you. The journey to college golf can feel like it's a little overwhelming and confusing with a lot of different moving parts. But the good news is that I think with a sound process or a game plan, and then knowledge and tools to help you with that game plan, you can really do it. Anybody can do it themselves. And that's really why the Junior Golf Hub was founded and exists today. So I'm going to go through each of those topics. I mentioned process, knowledge, and tools. Just quickly talk about some high-level advice, but also some things you can find in our app. So understanding the college golf landscape. I think there was a question earlier about how many programs or what it takes to score-wise to play. I'll get to that in a little bit, but I just wanted to, something which is sometimes a surprising fact is how many programs there are out there in the landscape. It's a very big landscape. So I don't want to ask or wait for an answer, but how many programs are there in the United States? And in Ohio alone, there are over 2,200 across boys and girls opportunities, and 93 in just Ohio, which is almost as many as there are in New England, which is a pretty big landscape. And that's across Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, and junior colleges. And as Christina and Angela kind of mentioned before, these programs are all different shapes and sizes and require different things or looking for different types of players. And the colleges or universities on the academic side also provide different experiences and different situations. So it's really important to get to know as much as you can about each one of them. One of the bigger topics that comes up when looking for college golf opportunities is the scholarship conversation. So I put this funny comic in there. It's the elephant in the room that everyone wants to kind of acknowledge. But my little bits of advice about scholarships and what you need to know. Scholarships, here's a maximum view of what's allowed at each of those divisions I just mentioned. The unfortunate thing is that not every program has the ability to provide the maximum. So what you'll see is that some Division I programs only have 2 or 3 full scholarships, or maybe even fewer than that. And what they do with it, the coaches in the programs, they kind of slice up the pie and spread that across their team. So it's very important, if you can get to the point when talking to the coach about the potential of you being on their team, that you kind of find this information out if a financial need is there. So those are the maximum numbers, and not every program is fully funded, meaning that a full ride is actually very rare. I think a few years ago, I was doing some research, and the Arizona State team or the UCLA women's team, they only had 6 players. And in that case, you could assume that a program like UCLA or Arizona State, 6 players, 6 scholarships, they were all on full rides, but that's a very rare situation. So that's what you need to know about scholarships. On the process side, just some words of advice. So finding out what a coach wants, all the coaches, they're not going to pick up the phone and call you. So you have to communicate and be proactive and make yourself a known entity. And that can be through handwritten notes, emails, or setting up phone calls, as Christina alluded to earlier. It's really important that you do research on all these programs and personalize that communication with them, because a coach wants to know why you want to talk to them and go to their school. They want to see you compete and keep competing and testing your game and not be afraid to fail, because that's how you really develop into a college-bound player. I think this was talked about earlier. What does it take to play collegiate golf? It's a very big landscape. And like I said, a lot of different programs and different expectations. So if you're a boy and you're shooting in the mid 80s, low 80s, there is a home for you. If you're a girl and you're shooting in the high 90s, mid 90s, low 90s, there still is a home for you. But there's also programs that are looking for mid 80s, low 80s, or high 70s as well on both sides. So That's why it's so important to perform your research and understand the expectations of each program. Just some notes, I think this was talked about earlier. College golf can be and is more difficult than high school golf. The courses are longer significantly. They're often played in inclement weather, and the fields are stronger. And it is a little bit of a learning curve from when you make that jump from high school golf to college golf. And just another thing to keep in mind is that when you're performing the research, you get current data on what their teams might be shooting. Coaches like that, they want to see that at a minimum. They're trying to improve their programs. They have aspirations of winning conference, going to national championships. So yeah, that might be a good indicator of what they're looking for, but always keep in the back of their mind that they're always looking for better. College golf is a big time commitment, and trying to get, we talked about the number of rounds you should be playing and dedicating your time to. Try to replicate that in your high school years and build that up into college golf. There's, physical workouts. Being a student athlete takes a lot of time management. So that's one thing to consider if you're not sure if you want to play college golf. It's a big time commitment as a student athlete. If you want to find out more about the program and what the coach is looking for, definitely do some research on the competitiveness of the team, what they're shooting, but also where they might be getting the recruits from. If you look at the roster, usually you see maybe a program, I think Boston University comes to mind. They recruit heavily overseas. I think 10 out of 10 of their girls are international recruits. So if you're in the States, it might be more difficult for you to break through with the coach. Just another piece of information to look for. But if you're looking at California schools and you're from California, often you see them recruit in-state, so you might be more eligible in their mind. And this was really cool to hear earlier about the coach philosophy and team culture. That's huge to try to find that out, get to know some of the current team members, ask them questions and see if you jive with the coach and how they kind of conduct their program. Climate and facility footprint can be really big too. A funny story is one of my friends went to Tulsa back when they had a program, and he was like, oh, I think it's going to be, great. I'm going down south, but Tulsa is still very cold. And he didn't know that. So it's one thing to be very careful about understanding the climate situation. And if it's cold, what do they do in the cold and in the winter? And that'll give you some insight into the facility footprint that they provide the golfers at the school. And I can't stress enough that when you're in the throes of the process, that you really don't know if you want to go to the school and be a student and a student athlete there, you have to go on a visit. Keep going on visits. Try to plan your junior golf schedule, if you can, around schools that you're looking at, to step on the campus, get to see the people, talk to people, meet staff, take it all in and really feel like if you're going to be able to spend 4 or 5 years of your life there. It's really important, and you really won't know until you do that. Some of the tools, I'll talk about the Junior Golf Hub a bit and the tools we have on there. We really created an elite community with a great education and tools for the family unit that's kind of going through this process. We have the ability for each player to create a 21st century profile or a golf resume or website. Very user-friendly, gets everything that the coach needs and that you'd want to tell your story into one place, and lets you help that, evolve that over time. Then you can perform research into colleges. We have every single program represented with a profile. You get all the golf team specific information as well as the academic information on each college, majors offered. And you can find and follow the ones that you want to track or that you like, and you get notifications back and forth from those programs. So it's a really cool way to kickstart the communication process. In addition to that, you get great advice on the milestones and navigating the milestones of the recruiting process through the high school years, how to talk to coaches, some friendly suggestions and templates to help you through that process. The scholarships piece was there, and all these other things about redshirting or spots on a roster and all that. It's really, really good advice and almost required reading if you're starting the process sophomore or junior year of high school. And then there's a really cool tool about finding tournaments near you. If you want to tap into the tournament landscape, it's just as vast as the college landscape. There's a lot of different tournaments out there. And if you're looking for opportunities that are going to closely mimic college golf will help you connect with those and put them on a schedule and register for them. So we really try to centralize a lot of good stuff in one place for you. I just want to show you quickly the College Finder. This is really cool. I played college golf when I was, 10 years ago, and I coached for a little bit after. This is a sample look at how I would have searched for a school. I put my scoring average in the scoring average filters. I put my SAT score in there, and blocked out myself. But this is the basic criteria that I was junior and senior year of high school. And I clicked on New England on our map, and down south, that's where I was looking. And I was looking for a D1 or D2 opportunity that offered scholarships for athletes. And I hit search, and I got 12 schools back. And the coolest part for me was that we built this tool, and where I ended up going is on this list. And I didn't use the tool the 10 years ago. So very cool feature. I just wanted to show you one little snapshot of something you can find in our membership. And it's a really helpful piece of, it's a great tool that you guys should get into your hands, help you start to hone in on the ones you should be looking at based on your golf skills and what you want to do academically. So would look forward to connecting with all of you at some point and see how we can help you on your journey. And any other Greater Cleveland athlete, we're here to help.
Thank you, Rick. And just for everyone on the call, because I know we have some non-Greater Cleveland Junior Golf members. Also, Rick, while you can, make me the host again. We will have a discount code for the app because it does cost to access all the features that he just demonstrated. You can go on the app for free, but there's a lot of features you won't be able to access without paying for the subscription. So I will send a follow-up email with the discount code, and then you can use that to get a little lower price on that. It's a great tool. So to Rick's point, I also didn't have access to apps at the time I came up, but there was a book at the time called Ping Golf Guide. And having a tool like these where you can see all the schools that have golf teams, male, female, size of the school, coach, et cetera, majors, is really, really helpful and kind of takes away the anxiety of the process because, for those of you who have not experienced this, you don't know what you don't know. So this tool is really going to help you kind of figure out, navigate that path, and also open your mind up to schools you may not have considered. I went to a school that I would have never in my mind thought, I didn't even know it existed, to be honest. But because of a tool like this one, it popped up as one of the schools on my radar. I reached out to the coach just because my mom said, don't look at all schools in California. And heard back from the coach, did a visit like Rick suggested, and I ended up going to school in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is not a place I ever thought I would spend 4 years of college, but it was one of the best 4 years of my life. So just know that these tools aren't necessary, not just to play collegiate golf, really just to find a school, but for this purpose, it'll help you kind of figure that out if they do want to consider playing collegiate golf. And Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say this tool is probably best to be used probably around like 7th, 8th grade, like you want to start pre-high school, right?
I think when you know you want to play college golf, that's when you can start to get involved and familiarize yourself with this. Because what you want to do, you don't want to not stretch before a marathon. You don't want to wait until the sophomore year or junior year. If you know 8th grade, you can start to lay the groundwork and perform research. You don't have to, obviously there's a lot of intense things that begin to happen sophomore, junior year, but you can always start, building out your resume, looking at schools, going to campus and just checking it out. So yeah, never too early to start.
Yeah. And I say that pre-high school only because if you are competing in middle school age or even younger, this will help you know what you have to do at the high school level, because that's the point where you'll have coaches looking at your playing resume. So then you'll know, I probably need to play some outside tournaments at this yardage. I need to score these scores, and you'll really be able to hone in on where your game needs to be so that when you are being officially recruited your junior year, then you'll already be where you're supposed to be and you're not catching up. So that's why I stress to people, If you know your kid's going to consider it, like Rick said, start early as possible so that you can be ready when it's time to be ready. Awesome. Thanks so much, Rick. That was great information. I almost wish I could go backwards and use this tool because it looks so cool.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm just glad that you're able to share this with the group, and I'm hoping it'll help a lot of the families on the call as well as those who are not. So thanks again.
Likewise,
All
thanks.
right. Any questions before Rick? He might have to hop off. So just any questions from anybody in the audience that were not covered in this segment? And just so you know, this is more of the college focused segment. We are going to, after this, talk about high school golf specifically. But if you have any specific college recruitment questions or things to consider. Okay. So with that, I'm going to switch gears and go to our high school golf. I know we kind of went backwards, but I didn't know how long I could keep Rick on the call. So I just want to make sure I got him in there. We're going to go to one of our Greater Cleveland family members, actually, is our board member, Ron Jones, and he also has 2 alumni of the Greater Cleveland Golf Program, including our program director, Emily Jones. And so he's very familiar with the program. He's been on the board for the last 2 years and is staying with us, thank goodness, for another 2 years. But he is currently the high school coach for Hathaway Brown girls team, varsity team. And so I just want, Ron, if you could share with everyone, first of all, just your transition from being a parent of junior golfers to I'm going to coach a high school team. Can you just give us a backstory on that?
Sure. But before I do, let me say 2 things, if you don't mind.
Okay.
One, to Rick, we have started using your program with the HB girls, and so far they found it very, very enlightening for them as they delve deeper into the process. So.
Awesome.
So thanks, and the app seems to be grabbing hold of them. So that's good.
Great. Let me know if there's anything I can do.
Certainly will. And then Christina's gone already, but when she was in the clubhouse, she was actually waiting to see how Hathaway Brown did to see who was going to state, Hathaway Brown or Nordonia. And I knew coming in that it was really like a seven horse race, if you will, going into districts out of the 12. We kind of, out of the 16, and we kind of felt that, there were 7 teams that could make it, and it was just going to come down to kind of that, because we had been jostling all year, that top 7. And I was telling our girls, and actually, to clarify, there were 3 Greater Cleveland Golf girls on that Nordonia team. So Christina was the oldest, but Julia was on there, and she golfed, came through the program, and so did Brooke. So, and those are the 3 top scorers for them as well. So it was bittersweet. It was nice because I walked with them when they were little, and I knew them and knew their parents, and their parents were there and all of that good stuff. So it was good to see them again. But then the other side of it was, they took the 4th spot and we took the 5th spot. So I say that now. I'll jump right in. Now I forgot what your question was.
So my question was, just share with the group your transition from being a parent of junior golfers to now deciding to coach high school golf.
Well, it was not in the car. I mean, it was not a master plan of mine to coach high school golf. Obviously I'd been a part of this program for 25 years or so, with my son first before Emily. And so I knew golf. I knew I was around it for at least 30 plus years. And so, but I always coached other stuff, basketball, baseball, all of those things. And I had no intention of, and Emily's the baby of the bunch, so I had no intention. I was just going to enjoy her and walk with her through her high school experience. And then I would always tell HB, you really could do this a little bit different. But I'm a parent, right? So they're looking at you like a parent. And then they had an opening, and they asked me, I didn't apply for the job. They came to me and said, Mr. Jones, we really think you should coach our golf team. And I said, no, I don't know about that. And they said, no, you know all the girls, you know all the parents, you definitely have an opinion. And so I had played high school basketball, and I was telling them college basketball. And so I was telling them that, you also need to get them ready for the transition point. If they're going to play in college, it's a big difference, and their student athletes have a different experience than someone that's not playing. And so I was going through all of that, all of those sorts of things. And they talked me into it. I committed to 2 years. It's been past 4 now. And so I'm trying to see, when do you get off the train? Because you always say, well, I'm going to coach this group of girls. But then there's always another set that comes right behind us and you can't go anywhere yet. So I don't know. We'll see how long it runs, but that was my transition.
Well, just as a little hint, you got to find Emily that you can groom and then let them take over.
True. Absolutely.
But that's awesome to hear. So you said a couple of things that I definitely want to touch on, but the first thing I'll just say to give everybody kind of a flow of just where it starts. So to go from middle school golf, I'm assuming there was a middle school team or no?
Yeah, there's middle school activities that we do at Shaker, that there's a middle school that goes over and plays, and we try to do, an outing with them so that the middle schoolers can see and get the wow factor in with the high schoolers, so they can, have some aspirations to hit and play like them.
Got it. So for someone who's in the middle school, what are you looking for as a coach? What would you prefer them to do to prepare to get to the high school level?
I really, and I try to tell the parents this as well, as much exposure as they can give them, structured exposure that they can give them before high school is imperative to their high school success. So if they can be in a summer program where they're actually playing a lot, if they happen to be in a situation where they can get a swing coach, that's a beautiful thing. If there's opportunities for them to have what I call a golf buddy, that just works tremendously because they have someone to go with them other than their parents when their parents can't go. And that buddy, as I always tell Emily and others, is that when you don't feel like going, that buddy says, come on, I'm coming to pick you up, or we're going, come on, let's go. It just kind of helps motivate. So if you can kind of put those types of structures around them, I think in the middle school range, then it's an easier transition into the high school ranks.
Yeah, I can definitely testify to all those things because as you're mentioning them, I'm thinking, okay, yep, I had a golf buddy program. And I will say, although, and the golf buddy is huge, especially I will say, just from my perspective, as a person of color, I played a lot of competitive golf tournaments from age 9 to when I got to obviously high school. And a lot of times I was the only person of color, and a lot of times the only person of color who's a female. So
Right.
having my golf buddy who also looked like me, even though we weren't necessarily always in the same group,
Right.
again, was another motivation because like you said, it was like I didn't feel completely alone
Right.
for those tournaments, and we got to share that experience together. So you're right. I think that was definitely a motivation that I really didn't think about until you just said that.
Yeah.
And then, but here's the thing, I played competitive golf, like I said, from 9 up until high school.
Right.
So what I never played before then was team golf, which is different, I would say, to some level. So how do you transition a girl who's played competitively to now playing a team style of golf?
Yeah, it's interesting because, when they transition from middle school to high school, there's a process that we take them through. And Hathaway Brown is typically year in, year out is going to be somewhere in the top 5 to 10 in Northeast Ohio in terms of all of the schools. So there's a competitive level that's going to be there when they walk in the door. But it is a switch moving from the 8th grade to the 9th grade and going, okay, so there's only 5 of us playing in this tournament? Yes. And there's 15 of us going out for the team? Yes, but only 5 of you are going to play. And so, and then kind of this education process. There is an education process that we take them through from the 8th grade to the 9th grade so they can start to understand how the team philosophy works, because 90% of them really don't understand it. They don't understand, how they can play today and not play next week. And you say, hey, you're not playing this week. Well, I thought I was on varsity. Well, no, your score is not one of our tops and you're trending the wrong way. So you're not playing this week. Sally's playing this week. And so all of that shifting and those moving parts can be like throwing a bucket of cold water on them, moving from the 8th grade to the 9th grade. And we spend a lot of time kind of in that orientation mode, even between the player and the parents, because the parents don't generally understand it either unless they've had an older child, go through that process. They go play in all these US Kids and, Junior PGA and AJG, all of these tournaments prior to high school. And now they get out of high school and it's like, no, everyone doesn't play. Your score counts. You're going to play in a slot, depending upon how you perform, just kind of all of those things. It's a real education process for the parents and the child. So we try to do that a lot before the season starts.
And that's a great point you brought up about playing in a slot. One of the things that I didn't know when I transitioned was, you have player 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 being the best, and I guess 5 in this case being the least of the 5, but
Right.
probably better than everyone else that didn't make the cut, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right.
So, for a person who's played individually and maybe done very well, but then they come to your school and they're, not necessarily number 1 spot, what do the parents and they have to do to kind of get them to that level? Because obviously we're going to go through how often do you practice? Can you give them lessons? How does that even work?
Yeah. So we tell our girls that the top 5 scorers are going to play golf 5 days a week at a minimum. The other 3, because we only practice 8 at a time. So the other 3 will rotate. They'll rotate tournaments. They'll rotate some matches. They'll get a chance to play in some development, what JV, if you want to call it that, tournaments. And through that, they can improve their score, which helps bolster them to move into that top 5. We do a lot of skills challenge in practice to help determine, usually your 5, 6, and 7 are competing for that number 5 spot. Your top 4 generally separate themselves in terms of their scores, and they kind of get set for the year because their scores just kind of match up that way. But 5, 6, and 7, it's especially early on, it's always a fight for that. And so with the early, late adopters, the new people coming on, it's a question of saying to them, look, this is what you have to do. Mom and dad, this is what they have to do. But what you find, and we talked a lot about distance today, when they're playing US Kids as a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old group, and now they move into high school, the yardage changes. And so as that yardage changes, where they were used to using one club, it doesn't work for them at the high school level anymore. So I've yet to see anyone that was a star US Kids player come into a number 1 slot in our program. They all come in and they're either 4 or 5 because they go through tryouts. And that's the other thing. You mean, wait, I have to try out? Yes, you have to try out. We have 3 days of tryouts, numbers. And then because after those 3 days, we go straight into tournament play. So there's a lot of transition points, like I said, for them to really understand as they transition into high school. Most of it's driven by the numbers. We track, greens hit, putts used, overall score over 9 holes, overall score over 18 holes. Are they out of shape? Meaning, can they play? If they can play 18, do their scores on the back 9 usually differ quite a bit from what they do on the front 9? And then as we look at that layout, we can better understand what courses we're getting ready to play and what the hills look like that they're going to be walking, and know if a player is going to be suited to play in that or not, in terms of what their potential is. So we put them through training in the summer. So we have a strength and conditioning program that we do in the summer. Some girls participate because it's optional. Some don't. But by the time we hit August 1st, when in Ohio, the heat's starting to peak out, you can tell who's really been doing the workouts and who hasn't. Because after 7, 8, 9 holes, and you're just reaching the halfway point, you can see their energy, the ball distance is different, the focus is different, and they're struggling to make it through. And those girls drop off pretty quickly.
Yeah, so with that strength and conditioning, I'm assuming, and just want to clarify, because it's changed since I've been in high school,
Right.
these girls are walking,
Yes.
right? 9 holes. Nobody's caddying for them, correct?
No, correct.
Are parents allowed to go and watch them while they play?
Parents can watch, but they are advised, just like in Northern Ohio PGA and everything else, you want them to stay at least a half a hole ahead. So you want them 150 yards out, 200 yards out. They can spot balls, but they need to keep moving.
Got it. So people who are transitioning, because again, I think this is a big thing now, transitioning from middle school to high school, if they haven't experienced that, that's the big shock for them as well.
And through our tryouts, we put them through that. We tell parents, we prefer you not come to tryouts, because they need to see what it's like to do it on their own. And we don't coach them during tryouts because we want to see, can they handle the course? Can they handle the score? How do they handle disputes? How do they handle if the ball goes out of bounds? Because when we're, as a coach, and we're managing 5 girls in a tournament, 6 girls in a match, I might be with girl 1 and girl 6 is 4 holes back. And she's got to be able to manage the course and manage the young ladies that they're playing with. So we look at all of that during the trial process as well. And some girls, you can see they're ready. And some girls, you can say, you know what, it's pretty clear that they're not ready. So we've got to figure out in practice how we can put them through the exercises and get their knowledge base up on the rules and how to manage the greens and when to pick up and just things like that.
That makes sense. So talk about score, because you said your top 4 players typically are separate from the other.
Yeah.
For your competitive team, because I know not all high school teams are super competitive, but what are the score averages that they're shooting?
So for 9 hole, and we'll use Shaker because that's our home course. So we'll use a Shaker 9 hole, which is one of the tougher courses. Our 1 on average is going to shoot a 30, somewhere between a 37 and a 39.
Okay.
If she shoots 40, then she's had a kind of a rough day. Our number 2 is going to shoot between a 38 and a 40. If she shoots 41, 42, then she's had kind of a rough day. Our number 3 is going to shoot between a 40 and 42, 43 tops. Our number 4 is going to shoot between a 42 and a 45.
Okay.
And so anything over that, we expect all 5 of them to be able to shoot worst case in the 40s. So we know we're going to drop a score, but everybody is expected to be, 49 and below. So even our number 6 spot, we want 48, 49 in that range. But our number 5 will typically come in somewhere between 46 and 48. And then that number 6 is, like I said, 5 and 6 jostle with us quite a bit. So, one day one can beat the other and so forth and so on. On an 18 hole, we're a little bit different. We'll shoot anywhere between, our number 1 will shoot between 77 to 81, 82. If she has a bad day, like she had in our playoffs, she shot an 83, but that's a bad day for her. Our number 2 will shoot between 78 and 83, 84. In our district playoffs, she shot 83. So they're in those ranges. We expect the top 4, which is where they normally are, to be somewhere in the mid to high 80s and below. All 4 of the girls should be there. Most of the time, all 5 of them are below 90.
Got it. And so most matches, I would assume, are 9 holes, but then you have obviously your qualifiers. That's when you play the 18-hole rounds.
Right. So the way our seasons are broken up in Ohio is we front load them heavy in August. So August we'll play maybe 7 tournaments in the month of August. And then we backload September with all matches.
Okay.
And then the first week of October, we're in postseason.
Got it.
So we front load everything heavy before school starts. Then when school starts, we just do matches. And then on the back end of that is where we do the postseason tournament.
Got it. So I'm going to just summarize what I think people should take away from the scoring. And that is, when you get to the high school level, if you're not scoring bogey golf or better,
Yeah,
you're not going to be very competitive at a high school level.
that's true.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Right.
That was good, some good information. And so, and I will say, this is stuff I didn't know. I mean, going into high school golf for me, because I started the team my junior year, it was like, I didn't know what I was going to be up against. I knew I was better than everybody on my team because I was the
Right.
only one who played competitively. But once I had to play against the top 10 best girls in the state at HB,
Right.
at-
Yeah.
at some other schools, it was a whole nother ball game. It was fun because I like to compete, but it was definitely, I had no clue like what range of scores I should be shooting, what expectations all of that was, I had to learn as you go. And
Yep.
so, this is why we're doing this webinar today. And so with that, you said something about preparing the girls for college. So most people, here, and I've probably said an error, like, coaches aren't really looking at high school scores, they're looking at tournament scores, right? Because they're
Right.
not 18. But you said there's something that you're doing to prepare the girls for college. So what is that you do?
Well, we do a series of coach one-on-ones with the girls early on to kind of figure out, okay, what does golf mean to you? What should our expectations be of you? And if we understand those expectations, then we can help guide them down the path of where they need to be and the effort. Some girls come in, they say, hey, coach, look, I just want to play high school golf. I want to enjoy my time. I want to see if I want to make a state run because I know I have to have that mentality, but I'm done after high school. Okay, well, that's different from one of the girls that says, I want to go to the next level. I want to play in college. I don't care what level of college. I just want to play in college. Then we can set them on different paths. We can talk to them about their swing coach. If they have a swing coach, if they don't have a swing coach, we can set them off on a path of here's what you need to be doing in the winter, because here are the steps you need to take in order to stay relevant, but to get stronger and then work on these sorts of things. So once we know what their expectations are, then we can better direct their paths in terms of what that outcome begins to look like and what the process should begin to look like. And at the end of the day, what a student athlete in college looks like versus a non-student athlete. So we also want to take them through the exercise of this is what this looks like. So know that, the time that your friends might be, going to hang out and sit in the front lawn, you can't do that, not on a regular basis. You have to find those nuggets of time to do that with them, but know that it's almost like a full-time job as a student athlete, and you have to work against multiple sets of expectations. So we try to go through the mental preparation, for that process. And then we also look at and try to position them for courses that are longer and tournaments that are longer, because in the recruiting process, and we went through this with Emily, there was a mindset of what distance are you playing? Even if you're playing a difficult course, is the course you're playing, are you playing at college distance or are you playing at high school distance? And the further you go in Ohio, the longer the distances get. So if you're in postseason, your first round in sectionals are about 5,000, maybe 5,100. When you move the district, it goes up. And so it may go up to, 53, 5,400. And then when you go to state, it is what it is. We're still wrestling with that one. But we practice longer distances for our girls, especially for those that are aspiring for college, so that it's not a shock to their system that, wow, this is 6,100, this is 6,200, this is 5,900. I thought I'd be closer on my second shot. I'm not. Well, this is the distance that you got to be able to play. So we build that into our practice, those types of distances, so that everyone kind of gets a feel for, wow, this is going to be a lot harder. I do have to get stronger. I got to get, more technique. I've got to do more flexibility and all of those things so that they can really prepare. So we do all of those things in practice to really try to get them ready for the mental aspect of college being different.
That's pretty awesome. And I will say, I don't know too many coaches as thorough as you, so I don't know that that's the expectation everywhere, but I think just knowing that if the coach doesn't do that for you, asking the coach for that guidance or help is key, because sometimes they may not know what you want, to aspire to do with your golf game. So that's really good to hear. So if anyone has questions, please put them in the chat, because we're going to be wrapping up soon. But I did want to have you just share, because you've given us a lot of great information. If you could give a parent 3 tips on how to get ready for high school golf, and don't matter what level their kid is, as far as if they've never played, if they currently play, what would be the 3 tips?
Commitment is one. And when I say commitment, the parent has to be committed as well. If the parent's not committed, then they're not going to take the child to the swing coach. They're not going to take the child to the driving range. They're not going to take the child putting. They're not going to get them the right equipment. They're not going to do all of those things. So there's a commitment level that if your child or if you all are committed to making this happen. I remember with Emily, we had the discussion of, is this really what you want? Because it's a financial commitment, a time commitment, a emotional commitment, and kind of everything around it. And so she committed, so we committed. And so I would say commitment is kind of the number one thing. Is parent, you've got to commit, but the child's got to commit. It can't be something that, hey, I'm going to take 3 months off and nothing's wrong with me. I just don't want to play for 3 months. That just doesn't work. So I would say that being number one. I would say number 2 is exposure. And because what you see, especially in the African-American pool, is when we go to these tournaments, you may be the only one that look like you and your parents standing on the side. And you have to be comfortable enough to know that I put in the same practice, I played the same courses, I have the same equipment, I'm equipped to compete. And that mindset, because if they walk in the door and they don't have that feeling that I'm ready, I have what everyone else has, then they're doomed before they even start. So the path just doesn't work. So I would say, that would be number 2 is that exposure, as much exposure as you can get, whether it's, a local tournament, whether it's a PGA tournament, whether it's an AJGA tournament, whether it's an NEO tournament, so they can see the spectrum. And then the last thing I would say is just knowledge of the game. Parents have to begin to know what their child is trying to do or what they're not trying to do, because you can't talk to them in high school. So just know that. So at least you can try to understand when they're frustrated, when they walk off the course, why they're frustrated. Why you say, oh, you played really good. And they go, Mom, I shot at 88 and I'm playing the number 2 slot. I got to shoot 81 or below or whatever the case is. That you understand it's hard. It's not like, well, you practice it. I don't know why it's so hard about it. No, it's hard. The conditions change every day. The ball lie is very different. The grass is different. You know, my body's feeling different. There's nothing that's going to be exactly the same every day you play golf. And so knowledge around that, knowledge of the rules, all help to really kind of say, this is what's going to prepare you to play high school golf. If you don't do any one of those things drops, for me, you can't play. You just can't play because you're losing before you even start. I can tell kids who have played from a commitment level, I can tell when they walk on the course, even if they've never played it before. They know how to move. They know where to go. They know what they're trying to do in their warm-ups. I can tell a kid that has had exposure. I know, where to leave my clubs. I know how to move through the green. I know how to identify the next hole. That's more exposure. I know the rules. I know the rules of the game. So Mom, don't talk to me. You can't give me swing advice. Go ahead of me because you're going to get me disqualified or a stroke penalty and all that good stuff. All of those things are really important for the parents to understand as much as it is for the child. And that to me is what gets them ready for high school golf.
Awesome. Well, those are 3 great tips. Now that you shared all this, I'm going to be hitting you up again so you can tell our parents this in person in the summer because I need to hear this probably 1,000 times. But I thank you for all the great information you just shared, and I hope that everybody kind of got something from this. I did, and I've gone through the process, so I hope you did as well. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to have Emily wrap us up because it's getting to that top of the hour. But thank you for all who attended, and Emily, take it away.
So just thank you to everyone who came. Thank you to all our speakers. This is very informative. I wish I had one of these when I was younger. I got one of these. Hello, Victor, I see you. So thank you, everybody. If you are not part of our GCJGSF family, you can find out more information on our website, just gcjgsf.org. And you can sign up to get our newsletters, or if you just want to read more about us, that's where you can go. So thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you all. Good job.